Hello, ladies. For your practice today, I'd like you to have 2 blocks and a blanket. And we'll find our blocks just off to the side to begin. And we'll make our way to hands and knees. And we'll take our blankets, and we're going to have our blanket so that we have some support under our knees. So I kind of bring my blanket and I kind of like the folded end in, and then I have some space back here for my feet, and I have lots of space ahead of me for my arms. And from here, we make our way to our table pose. And I'll give you some alternatives if this isn't really what you want to do, and you're always welcome to do some alternatives. But I'm going to start first with we find our way. So take about your hands, about a step and a half forward. Curl your toes under, lengthen to your plank pose. So we're nice and strong and active here. On your exhale, we'll slowly shift our weight into our heels. And then our inhale, we make our way down to our table. And then we exhale down to our child's pose or our puppy. And this one's kind of an in-between, forehead rest down. So if you're not feeling the plank pose today or the downward facing dog, feel free to just come here. So you have this option here, or you can really settle your hips all the way down towards your heels and settle in here. Forehead always to your mat. Or you can even walk your hands further forward and bring your forehead down. And this one is full puppy. So those are your alternatives if you want to find those poses instead of down dogs with me today. And always know those options are always open for you. So we'll make our way. And from here, we make our way to our table, and then we'll step our hands forward. So we'll curl our toes under, we'll lengthen to our plank. We exhale, downward facing dog, sinking into the heels. Inhale, knees down. Exhale, your puppy or child's pose. This one's kind of an in-between for me, where I just kind of come down wherever my hands are and wherever my forehead lies, and just kind of draw your navel in towards baby, because that will kind of keep our backs nice and protected. Keep our back nice and straight. And we'll just continue this. So we'll continue one more time. We inhale up to our plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Sink into the heels. On the inhale, we bring our knees down. Exhale, forehead rest down. And we'll just do it again. So we'll inhale, we come up to our table, we curl our toes under, we lengthen into our plank. So you'll notice my buttocks is not lifted. I try to keep the back line of my body nice and long here. On your exhale, your downward facing dog. And this inhale, your knees come down, your exhale, your child's pose. And let's do one more of those. So we make our way up. So this time, whenever we make our way all the way up, we're going to really make this space, that space between your shoulder blades back here, we're going to make that space really long. So we're going to be real long here. And so that's just going to bring a little bit more of that nice strength into hands, arms, and shoulders. On your exhale, we shift back, sinking into the heels. Then our inhale, your table. Exhale, your child's pose. Then we'll slowly just start to find our way to a kneeling position. And I brought my block with me, so grab one of your blocks, and we're going to shift our block right between our feet, kind of our heels, and it's just going to be right underneath of our sits bones so that we can make our way up nice and tall. And we usually start our practice off with breath work, but I thought maybe we should start with some movement today, and now we'll go to our breath work. So you can have your hands up here to the tops of your thighs, or if you'd rather have hands to your belly today. Sometimes one hand up to our heart is nice as well. And just to kind of check in with how our breath feels in our body. And just maybe allowing our shoulders to relax down. And we'll slowly allow our arms. If we don't have our hands to our bellies already, let's bring both our hands to our bellies and just check in with baby. So no matter what time of day this is, maybe it's the first time that you've checked in today with how baby's doing. And sometimes, especially once our babies are moving, we're checking in all the time. But when it's still early in, it's sometimes just nice to check in with this connection before we begin our practice. And we'll slowly release our bellies. We'll lengthen our arms up overhead. So we're just going to lengthen long. And we'll exhale. Let's reach over towards our right side so we get some length along the side of the body. And we're going to do this a few times. So we inhale, we lengthen up. And exhale, left side. Inhale, we make our way up. Exhale, right side. We'll do each side one more time. So we use hand for support, make our way up. Exhale, last time this side. And we'll slowly make our way all the way back down. Then we'll find our way to our hands and knees. I'm just going to shift my blocks up here so that they're out of my way. And I'll make my way so that I have my hands and knees position. And we'll find from our hands and knees, we'll take our left hand. Ooh, I forgot about an important part. Take your left hand back out. Take your knees so that they're kind of towards the outside of your blanket. So you can take them as wide as you choose. I'm even going to take a second here and make my blanket space a little bit wider so that I can have full support underneath of my knees. It's always good to be nice to our knees, and you can always fold it just a little bit more at that one spot just so that you have plenty of cushion here. And take your knees a little wide so they're going to be towards the outside edge of your mat. And now we're ready. The left hand comes underneath of your face, and then right fingertips reaches up towards the ceiling. So we're going to lengthen and open up this side, and we'll do this a couple times. So we exhale, we'll make our way down. We'll switch the hands left to the side, right under our face. Inhale when you're ready, lengthen up. Exhale, we make our way down. We'll switch them out. We make our way, lengthen up, open up. Exhale, we make our way down, and we'll switch again. And then we'll find from here, from our table, so go back to having wrists under shoulders, and we'll find some movements with our hips. So I'm just going to kind of start to, almost like I'm trying to draw some circles with my hips here. And you can kind of get into it as much as you choose. So take a second to kind of find how deep you want to go, and you can really make this space big. So you can, if you'd like, so I sometimes will take this movement real slow so that I can kind of really get into those deep places that I'm feeling tightness. And you can, or you can just keep going kind of fast. You decide here. So maybe your body's not really into doing this full circle. You can always do one side at a time, or you can do a couple on the right side and then shift over to the left. Sometimes hips can be kind of temperamental, if you will. So we'll just make our way to continuing this. So however you choose, and I went ahead and kind of switched directions a little bit. I brought my toes in a little bit just for some more stability. My knees keep sliding out today. It must be my yoga pants. So we just keep this up. So you can even shore up this position for your knees if you'd like. And we just kind of keep finding what feels good. And you can kind of get into it with breath if you want to do exhales, shift back. Inhales forward. And just kind of repeat what you did in that opposite direction. Even if you kind of pause here in the middle and sit here for a moment with me. And then we make our way up nice and slow. Then we'll start to make our way to finding our knees come back real close together, but they about still hip width apart. So then we'll walk our hands just as far forward as we can reach, and then our forehead rests down. So this is our full puppy pose. So we just settle in here. Let our forehead rest down. So this is more of the top of my forehead, which is really close to my hairline, but we're not trying to shift it forward. We're just still just keeping our gaze in our position so that our spine is nice and neutral here. So just kind of following the alignment of the spine. Nice straight back here. This might be a really big stretch in your shoulders, which is sometimes really awesome, but sometimes it's a lot. So if you need to ease that big stretch, you can always inch the elbows in just a little bit, give your shoulders a little break, especially if this is a new pose for you today. Then we'll start to make our way up. So start to shift your elbows in and eventually come all the way up to your table. So then we'll start to shift. So we're going to need our blocks. So with our blocks, I'm going to start to find, so we go back to our table that we started with. And then we're going to take our hands. So if I'm taking my hands, my right hand is going to shift over to the left side, and my blocks are going to go right where my left hand was. Bring your hands to the tops of your blocks. And then, so you can always heighten these. So if you need to turn the top one in, it's always awesome. Always okay. And then we'll step the left foot forward. And this, in and of itself, might be a big stretch for you. So don't feel like you need to do anything else if this is a lot for you. Take a second though, because we want the front knee and ankle to be nice and lined up. And we want to feel like we have a lot of space. So that being said, so maybe where you are right here, you're thinking, oh, I'm squished. So you can always walk your left foot over, maybe most about an inch. But if you need more space, you can always kind of shift your blocks a little bit over towards the side. And that's just going to create some more space for baby. But I recommend you try to keep more kind of an alignment here. And then from here, we're just going to find if this feels good. So start to see how you feel about bringing all of the weight in all the four corners of your foot. So it kind of activates. So you're kind of pressing down, and it's going to activate into this leg. So I'm pushing on my leg and it's resisting. So it's nice and strong. So if my arms are down here, and maybe if my hands are here, so I'm going to bring my blocks in a little bit more. My elbow is right up against here. Your blocks don't have to be here if that's not comfortable for you, but it can be. And then from here, we're going to curl our back toe under if you need more work, and we'll shift our back knee back. And then we shift ourselves, the back toes uncurl, and we lengthen once more. So again, nice and active into our front foot. If you need more cushion under your back knee, always take a second for that, because we always have time to take care of our knees. And then we'll just continue this. So if you want a little bit more work, you can curl your back toe under again, shift your back knee back once more. If you need more support under your back knee, because sometimes it's just a lot of weight shifting down, You can always fold a corner of your mat underneath of your back knee. That's always nice too. So this is kind of about where we want to stay with the back knee. So if you need a little bit more work, you can kind of shift down a little bit. So that being said, we're just kind of bending into the elbows and kind of leading with the chest. And you can so we can still kind of keep ourselves at this nice neutral with our spine, meaning that our head and neck just kind of follows the spine here. And we can just kind of continue down. So if you're really needing some more work, you can come all the way down to forearms. So that might be impossible depending on how far along you are. So just bending elbows might be all you need here today. And then we'll just pause here. One more good breath wherever you are. And then we'll start to make our way back up. So we'll start first with just curling our back toes under, and we shift to the back knee forward, and still use support from your hands here, and we'll step the left knee back. So we'll take our blocks and we'll kind of just shift them over more towards the left side, and then we'll go to a little puppy just to kind of have something neutral. A child's pose is really nice here too. I'm going to cue child's pose for you this time, but remember, puppy is the one where we walk our fingertips forward and our forehead comes down. So for child's pose, we let the hips sink down towards the heels. And depending on how much space you have, you can widen your knees as much as you choose. Forehead rest down. So some of you may be saying, Mandy, I just can't quite get my hips down to my heels like you're doing. And I understand. I couldn't always do it either. So if you're there, you can always just come down to forehead to your mat. And the hips are still kind of high. Just draw your navel in towards baby. And that's just going to support your low back so you have more of a straight spine. And any of these poses that you've chosen, just kind of settling in here for a moment. Then slowly start to make your way up. So nice and slow. And we'll go back to table. But this time from our table, so if you shifted your knees, go ahead, bring your knees in so that you have your knees about hip width apart again. And then from our table, so think about where your left hand is right now, because that's where your blocks are going to go. So you can shift your blocks right where your left hand was and bring your hands up to your blocks. And right where your right hand was, that's where your foot will go. And remember, you can adjust it. So if you need to shift it over just a little bit, that's always okay. And we just kind of shift here, check in here. And sometimes just being here is enough. So we just kind of check in if this is the right position for us, if this feels good. And if you need a little bit more work, we start to find all the weight into our front foot. So I start to get strong here, all four corners. It's going to activate into our front leg, so it's kind of resisting me as I'm trying to wiggle it. And I'm going to start to shift my back knee back. So I curl my back toes under, shift my back knee back, and that was kind of a bigger step than I did last time, and that's okay. And just kind of find where you are here. So this might be a really big stretch, so just kind of pause here. Still strong in our front foot, strong in our front leg. And if you need just a little bit more, you can curl your back toe under just a little bit more and continue. So again, if you still think you need a little bit more work, you can always come down to flat hands and then maybe bending elbows. So that, again, that might not be possible for you. This is enough stretch for most of us, because this is the action of doing the splits. So we're kind of taking our hips and we're drawing them away from one another. There's a few more breaths here. And we'll start to make our way back forward. So we curl our back toes under and we shift our back knee forward. And then it will start to shift our right foot back. And we'll shift our blocks. We're going to have one on either side. I'm just going to shift my blocks a little bit forward. I'm going to come down to that child's pose again. So you decide whichever one you want. I'm going to find my knees a little wide and reach my fingertips forward, forehead relaxing down. And slowly just start to inch our way back up nice and slow. Once you're here, check in. So let's start to bring ourselves so that we're back to our table once more. And from your table, we'll go ahead, find our blocks. So we want our blocks so that they're on either side of us. So we have where our hands were. We want our blocks just to the side of us, and we'll bring our hands up to our blocks. And then we'll step our right foot forward to begin, and our right toes come a little further forward than our blocks. And we'll use our blocks for some support here. So we're going to use from here lots of strength. So start to get strong into your right foot, all the way into your right leg. So everything's strong here. Front knee and ankle is nice and lined up best we can. And then we'll start to kind of shift our arms, kind of in a cactus arm. So it's going to be a real active pose for a moment. And we'll slowly unhinge, make your way all the way up to an upright position. So this might kind of resemble to you a warrior pose where we extend our arms up overhead, and you're welcome to do that instead if you would prefer it. But either way, we're just finding a nice little warrior lunge here. So nice and strong. Kind of drawing baby in, so we kind of draw belly muscles in, nice and strong into our front foot. And we'll slowly make our way down. So we'll do it real slow, just as slow as we came down. So we're real strong as we slowly hinge at the hips, leading with our chest until our hands make their way back to our blocks. Right foot then steps back, left foot then steps forward. So same thing here. Our hips are kind of nice and open here. So if you kind of notice that, that's perfect. You did a good job opening up those hips. And then from here, same thing. So we're nice and strong and active into our front foot. You can kind of go right into it. Nice and strong and active into our bellies. Draw our belly in towards baby, and we'll unhinge. We make our way all the way up. And this might be a pretty deep stretch for you as you're making your way up. Take your time to come all the way up upright. Doesn't matter how long it takes you. Slower is sometimes better because it makes us have a little bit more strength. And if you would prefer arms straight up overhead, that's always an option too. Woo. And I'm going to bring my arms back down to cactus arms, and then we'll slowly make our way back down. So we slowly get strong. So strong in belly, strong in hands and arms and in legs. We make our way all the way back down to our hands to our blocks. And then we'll step our left foot back. We'll shift our blocks. You can kind of shift them back here out of the way. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's put our block underneath of our sits bones and we'll kneel on it again. So we did this earlier, this little side to side gait. We'll lengthen our arms up overhead. We'll exhale, reach over towards our right side. So get nice and long on the side of our body. Belly strong. We inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, left side. Inhale, we lengthen up. We'll do each side one more time. Exhale, right side. Inhale, back up. Exhale, left side. And we'll slowly make our way all the way up. Now you can remove this block and just set it to the side. Doesn't matter where it goes. We won't need it anymore. And then we'll make our way back to our table. And from our table pose, we're going to do the little different variation of cat-cow that you may or may not have practiced before. From here, so check in, make sure your knees are about hip width apart. And then we'll slowly find the light in the center of our chest and we'll shine the light forward. And then on our exhale, we'll lower hips down towards heels. Head and neck goes nice and neutral. The inhale, we shift back forward. Once you're about over your hands, shine the light in the center of your chest forward. And our exhale, we lower hips down towards heels. And we inhale, we make our way back up. And exhale, we lower down. So as you continue, we inhale, we shift forward. You can start to exaggerate these movements a bit more. So maybe you can really find some length here in the front of the body. And on your exhale, maybe you can find some length here too. Head and neck can kind of relax more, or chin drawn down in towards your chest. And you can keep going with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and cue traditional cat-cow just in case this one's the better one for you and you forgot how. This inhale, we lengthen in through the front of the body. On the exhale, we start to draw our chest towards our hips. Head and neck goes nice and relaxed. In this inhale, we slowly shift back forward. The light in the center of our chest shines forward. On our exhale, chest starts to shift towards hips. We really round into our spine. You can sort of tuck the chin now that you've done enough of these. The inhale, we shift back forward. Our exhale, we round. And just continue. Let's do one more. So let's finish up. So do the cow variation first. So we inhale, we shine the light in the center of our chest forward, and then on our exhale, we'll slowly shift our hips down towards our heels, and we'll shift all the way down, and then you can widen your knees and shift down to a child's pose. Just settling in here with your breath for a moment. Forehead resting down. Maybe stacking your hands under your forehead if you need a little bit more space here. And we'll slowly start to inch our way back up. So I'm going to find my blanket again. I'm going to fold it in half and fold it in half again and kind of shift so that I'm sitting right back down on my blanket. And we just check in here so we find ourselves nice and settled. Maybe hands to the tops of your thighs or hands to your belly. Just checking in. So, if you would like, I always recommend a final relaxation after our practice. And I have a couple of extra videos that cover final relaxation in 2 different variations, where one is a side lying position and one is a reclined position that's modified with some props. So I always urge you after our yoga practice to find a final relaxation, and that's just lying on your side or in that reclined position for about 7 to 10 minutes. And I have those guides for you if you would like to do those. But if you're just here with me, wanting to find your closing here with me today, hands to our bellies, and just kind of checking in with these changes in our bodies. The changes that we've created, so you did this. So taking a moment to not only notice those changes, but to take full responsibility. You did this. So thank yourself. Thank your body for the work that it does. It's creating this beautiful baby. But don't forget to thank you, because you did this. And so send your baby some love. And honoring this experience that we get to have with our baby, this closeness we will never forget. Your baby is lucky to have you. You will be a great mother to this baby because you already are. So thank you very much for joining me today. I always enjoy it. Thank you. And don't forget, if you really enjoyed this video, to take a second and like this video if you liked it, or comment if you'd like. And if you like my videos, you'd like to see more of them, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see when I do new videos. And I try to do a new video every week, but yeah, life, right? So I'll do my best for you, and we'll just keep trying. Thank you so much. Thank you.